What's up guys, it's Nenuzanetaro and today I am back with another video. I'm going to be talking about my top 5 most memorable fights in all of anime history. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with my latest videos and smash that like button below to help me out with the YouTube algorithm. At number 5 on my list, I've got Rock Lee versus Gaara. Rock Lee is a fan favorite. With Rock Lee's lame haircut, poses and one-liners, he makes you fall in love with him immediately. Gaara, on the other hand, is cold and mysterious and you're rooting against him from the start. Rock Lee looks to be losing the fight until he gets permission from his beloved sensei, Guy, to remove his weights, that ordinarily he would only take off to protect those he loves. His respect for his sensei makes him question his sensei's giving of permission to take the weights off. When those weights hit the floor, what a moment. I must have rewound that scene like 100 times. Rock Lee gets an insane boost in speed after the weights come off and is able to go through Gaara's defenses, but it's still not enough. Rock Lee realizes he's going to have to step it up. He opens 5 chakra gates and pummels Gaara, but it's still not enough, and Gaara ultimately ends up breaking Rock Lee's leg and arm. Lee passes out and his beloved sensei steps in to save him before he's killed essentially. Part of what makes this fight awesome is the love between the student and the teacher and the passing on of Guy's will of fire to Rock Lee. The will of fire is so strong in Rock Lee that he stands up even unconscious. His soul still wants to fight, but his body is broken. The fight ends on that note and you're left in tears for Rock Lee, the martial artist with pure heart, determination and grit. An unforgettable fight where the good guy doesn't win and we're left polarized against Gaara. Beautifully written. Coming in at number 4, we've got Gohan versus Cell. One of the main reasons I love this fight is because for me, it's the most iconic fight of the first anime I ever watched. I didn't expect that Gohan was going to be the one to defeat Cell before it happened. Looking back though, it was obvious and there were clues, the main one being Goku realizing Gohan's potential in the hyperbolic time chamber. There's so many turning points in this fight that make it interesting and memorable. Initially, Gohan taking over from Goku and fighting Cell and his doubts in himself about whether he could win. His father supports him and continues pushing him, but it's not enough because Gohan doesn't yet have enough resolve or reason of his own to defeat Cell. The second turning point is then seeing Android 16 killed and his friends getting picked apart by the Cell Juniors. Gohan is desperate at this point, but he can't do anything about it. He still doesn't have their power or ability to help. When he then taps into his deep-seated despair and transforms, it was iconic. Gohan Super Saiyan 2 looked so sick, and to this day he's one of the best drawn characters in all of Shonen. He didn't believe in himself, nor did anyone else apart from his father before he transformed, and I found that quite touching. The complete domination he then puts on Cell made me so excited at the time. I thought if I got mad enough I could turn into a Super Saiyan. The next turn in this fight is Cell's desperation and self-destruction, and then there's the self-sacrifice of Goku, which hit me right in the feels as a kid because you can see how close Gohan and Goku are and how much Gohan admires his father, and he feels that Goku dying is partially his fault because he was playing around with Cell way too much when he got that power boost to Super Saiyan 2. The next twist is that Cell comes back. We're kind of left wondering what is going to happen now. Gohan is spent and Goku is dead. The last Kamehameha with Goku and Gohan working together had me in tears watching the show because it was so bittersweet. I remember watching it on Toonami in my grandparents' basement. Gohan and Goku ultimately win, but we know that Goku's dead and there's a question mark over whether his death was avoidable if Gohan had fought at 100% from when he first transformed into a Super Saiyan 2. This takes the number 4 spot for me because of the building up to the fight, Gohan's shy to berserker transformation, his guilt, the themes of sacrifice and the father-son bond, and of course the Super Saiyan 2 illustrations. All of this rolled into one fight give it the number 4 spot for me. Coming in at number 3, I've got Levi versus the Beast Titan in Attack on Titan. I've got this at the number 3 spot because after episode after episode of continuous despair for humanity, a light appears in Levi Ackerman's decimation of the Beast Titan. Commander Erwin rallying his soldiers and then marching them to a certain death had the hairs on my back on end, all to just create a few moments for Levi to potentially get the job done. You feel the desperation for these soldiers at this point and you're really on the edge of your seat watching this fight. Erwin is such a sick leader as well. It made me feel like jumping on a horse and turning into an anime character to back him up. Suzume! True to Attack on Titan style, there's always bad news though. The Beast Titan ends up getting away after all of that. It just makes you frustrated, but it's that frustration that keeps us hooked and wanting more. The good news is that as a result of this fight, humanity obtains the Colossal Titan and we finally see the scumbag Berthold get absolutely crushed. Arifumi Imai's animation of the scene when Levi gets his hand on the Beast Titan is so sweet, and Levi by cutting him up is one of the most satisfying scenes I've ever watched in anime. No surprise, since this animator's also done work on some of the most iconic scenes in One Punch Man and Naruto Shippuden. Coming in at number 2, I've got Naruto vs Sasuke. This fight had to be on the list. It wouldn't be complete without the most infamous frenemies in all of anime. I'd been following the journey to their final showdown for over 10 years. By this point in the series, Sasuke is so twisted psychologically, but Naruto, being the OG friend that he is, still wants to save him from himself. Naruto's willpower throughout the whole series spurred me on as a kid watching him, and this was the culmination of it all. I think it's clear in this fight that Naruto is stronger than Sasuke by far, and he's kind of just holding back and defending oncoming attacks for the most part. Naruto was basically fighting Sasuke on equal terms after having just fought Obito, Madara, and defending the Shinobi Alliance from the Ten Tails. So I think that says a lot about the difference in their power levels. This fight has most of the cool stuff we like about the anime Naruto Shippuden. The emotional flashbacks, the guts and glory when they're beating the crap out of each other at the end with no energy left, all of the emotional baggage going into the fight from both sides, and on top of that, the animation is so crisp. And again, this fight was animated by Arifumi Imai, who animated Levi versus the Beast Titan in Attack on Titan. All of this made the fight one of my favorite. The thing that really annoyed me about this fight though is something endemic to Naruto Shippuden, which is that after the Naruto versus Pain fight, it kind of just became about who could make the biggest power bomb. Like, part of the reason I loved Naruto in its earlier stages was all of the close quarters combat, not this my power bomb is bigger than your stuff. This is so easy to see in the Gaara versus Rock Lee fight, for example. It's an instant classic, and part of the reason is because of the slick hand-to-hand combat. Ultimately, I've put Naruto versus Sasuke in the number 2 spot though, because it did deliver on over a decade's wait. Moving on to the number 1 spot, I have Netero versus Meruem from Hunter x Hunter. I loved Hunter x Hunter, or is it Hunter x Hunter, as an anime, and what a final fight this was. Netero is one of my favourite characters in all of anime. The complexity of his character and all of the other characters in Hunter x Hunter is what drove me to put this fight into the number 1 spot. Netero's whole motivation in life is to be the strongest, and he has no sympathy for those who don't seek to be the strongest. On the other hand, he's saving humanity from being herded up and harvested for food. But the irony is, I'm still not sure what motivates him more, being the strongest or saving humanity from being relegated to a food source. I'm inclined to think the former, but Netero does show his humanity clearly throughout the series, and interestingly, this shows up in the prologue to his and Meruem's fight. Netero is worried that Meruem's reasons for refusing to fight, i.e. his slowly becoming more human, will take away his reason to fight and enjoy the fight at that. He needs Meruem to stay as a chimera ant so he can justify fighting him with his full might in a way. Also, we see Netero show respect to Meruem's humanity when he sees him distraught about Komagi being mortally injured. All of this basically shows that Netero is a very complex character, which makes this fight all the more interesting. On the other hand, you have Meruem, who I'm not actually sure is the antagonist in this fight. He's slowly becoming more and more human and developing empathy and wanting to have a purpose in life and know the reason for his being, the reason for even fighting Netero. This is such a human thing to do, wanting to know one's purpose and place in the universe. We're kind of left with the question, who's more of a human, Netero or Meruem? Ultimately, both Netero and Meruem die. I'm inclined to think that Netero won the fight, even though he was clearly outclassed and outmatched physically. He was thinking 10 steps ahead of Meruem, which is ironic because in the fight we see Meruem thinking he's 10 steps ahead by infiltrating Netero's defenses and determining his patterns of moving, the 100 type Guanyin Bodhisattva. In reality, Netero has already set up the miniature rose, which wasn't only a bomb but also poison in case Meruem survived the bomb, plus he took out Poof and Yuppie at the same time. Netero's menace and murderous intent at the end far surpassing Meruem's, and Netero clearly loved the fight all the way to the end, smiling throughout even after losing an arm and a leg. All the fights in Hunter x Hunter are extremely one-sided in terms of physical strength, and this fight was no exception, but the themes explored in this fight about some of the deeper questions of what it actually means to be a human, the greyness of who's actually the classical antagonist or protagonist, and the greyness around who actually won make me push it to the number 1 spot. The narrator's voiceover throughout added even more to the fight's draw for me. So that's it guys, that's my top 5 most memorable anime fights in history. Please hit that like button and subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comment section.